I found a fort on the western end of Gulf Shores. There are more than a few flags here, as you can see. I see the flag of the United States. I see the Union Jack. As you can see, there is a Confederate flag. Long historical context of the specific lighthouse here, that it was first installed in 1837 on Sand Island. It was 55 feet high. This is the lighthouse keeper's uniform. Obvious sign that says "Do not stand on the cannon." I suppose they're very old. This sign says something to the effect that in 1861 there was a skirmish not too far from here that involved a group of militia who called themselves the Montgomery Rifles, who were apparently quite formidable, and they went up against Union soldiers, and the Union soldiers did not fare very well. That was in 1861. Helmets, uniforms, guns, knives, a music instrument of some kind, all of the regalia that you would expect to find in an army, in a fort, really. So that was the museum. That houses historical artifacts and not a few facts related to this fort. And I am now walking towards the actual fort itself. As you can see, the entrance is red brick lined. There's some pretty serious damage to the walls. Related to combat, I am not sure. The actual fort itself is high walled, as you would expect. I would say about 10, 12, maybe 15 feet high. Um, there is what would have been an officer's quarters, as well as a church, as you would expect when it comes to matches of war and death. You need a bit of God as well. I'm guessing that these circular things on the floor housed the wheels of a cannon, and that hole right there on the wall is the way through which they fired at their enemies. As you can see, the shape ensures what I would guess would be about 100 to maybe 120-degree revolution, so you could revolve significantly from one direction to the other. And you have multiple of these setups. So if you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 15 of these, they are guaranteed to cover pretty much the sea-facing wall in its entirety, and anyone coming up the ocean by means other than air or water, if you have to get on land, you would have to face the wrath of the cannons. I would guess they would shoot quite far into the sea as well. Walking up these stairs into what I think is a prison cell. What you have here is a very strong steel door. It's about 1 to 2 inches thick, about 8, 10, 12 feet high. It must have housed prisoners of different originations as the fort changed hands over the years. There's an opening at the bottom and another one at the top. I'm guessing the other one at the bottom is for food. I'm not quite sure what they did with the one on top because it looks quite hard, even for a tall person to be able to see through it. There are these markings on the concrete ceiling and roof as well, which makes me think it might have been a store for ammunition. I'm not exactly sure how that would work, why you would need two holes on the door. It could also have been a storage unit. Again, that's I'm guessing unlikely. So I'm going to stick with the story that this was at one time or another, in fact, throughout the history of this fort, a prison cell. The posterior wall of the fort is built into what I think was a hill. So they dug through a hill and built a pretty thick wall extending all the way into the hill. I'm not exactly sure what the means of escape would have been if they were in a siege of some sort, because you cannot escape through this wall into the hill. Perhaps that was an oversight. Perhaps it was part of the plan. No retreat, no surrender. We die fighting. There is this depression on the eastern end of the fort. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but I'm guessing it was likely a peaceful flags, perhaps. I can imagine that when you wake up in the morning and you're looking at the sunset on the eastern side, the sunlight would be highlighting the flag or flags in the morning. But what I really want to show you is the water system here. They had multiple wells within the fort. They had reservoirs within the fort. So that meant that they could stay here for a prolonged period of time with enough of everything, enough water, enough food. What I didn't see is a sewage system that would have been able to take waste out of here. So that might have been the only problem. And on lazy days, when there was no war to fight, you could perhaps see military couples and military families taking a leisurely walk on this very beach 100 years ago, maybe 150, 200 even. Time.